For 36 years, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei was one of the most protected individuals on Earth. When he sought absolute security, he retreated to a subterranean bunker beneath Tehran, a facility so deep the elevator descent alone took 5 minutes. Khamenei operated as the central nervous system of Iran's nuclear resilience. Israel initially tried to stop the nuclear program by blowing up individual sites and assassinating scientists, but it was a futile effort. For every scientist killed or centrifuge destroyed, Khamenei simply appointed replacements and shifted the program to new locations. The breaking point came in January 2018. Mossad agents infiltrated a secret warehouse in Shurabad, Tehran, cut through iron safes and extracted 500 tons of classified documents. These physical files exposed a sprawling network of underground nuclear facilities that satellite imagery had never detected. Reviewing this stolen intelligence, the Israeli War Cabinet reached a stark conclusion. Dropping bombs on concrete and centrifuges was useless. As long as the leadership remained intact, Iran would endlessly rebuild. Eliminating Khamenei was the only permanent solution. But carrying out an assassination of this magnitude carried a massive risk of sparking a global war. The Biden administration repeatedly warned Israel against launching retaliatory strikes on Iranian soil without U.S. backing. The geopolitical timeline shifted in November 2024. With the election of Donald Trump, Israel gained the political clearance and operational green light needed to launch Operation Rising Lion. With Washington's backing secured, the problem shifted from political to physical. Israeli intelligence now had to figure out how to penetrate a heavily guarded 30-acre fortress to eliminate a target who operated like a ghost. This 3D wireframe map shows the scale of the Motahari complex on Pasteur Street. Securing the perimeter were 3 concentric rings of the Ansar al-Mahdi, Iran's most elite and reliable security forces, radiating outwards from Khamenei's central office. To breach this physical fortress, Israeli operatives started from the ground up. They recruited maintenance staff to analyze the compound's waste and deployed Pegasus spyware to silently compromise the mobile phones of Khamenei's guards, drivers, and inner circle. The next vulnerability was embedded in the compound's own surveillance network. Iran relied on Tandy and Hikvision cameras, which carried a remote code execution bug, a hidden exploitable flaw. Israel's Cyber Warfare Division, Unit 8200, exploited this bug to hijack the visual feeds of the entire facility. From high orbit, the surveillance net tightened. U.S. KH-11 satellites calculated the exact height of object shadows to track precise vehicle movements, while the Orion satellite intercepted encrypted radio chatter, sending the signals directly to a CIA processing base in Australia. This animated data web illustrates how millions of gigabytes of raw intelligence, phone signals, video feeds, and satellite tracks were fed into Palantir's Maven AI system. The software rapidly processed these disparate data points to map Khamenei's exact pattern of life. The system delivered a crucial piece of intelligence, confirmation of a massive, high-level gathering of 40 top Iranian officials, scheduled for the morning of February 28, 2026. By filtering human behavior into a rigid mathematical timeline, Israeli intelligence weaponized raw data to turn an unpredictable target into a certainty. The final physical barrier shielding Tehran was a formidable network of Russian-made S-300 and domestic Bavar 373 air defense radars. Before Israeli and American jets could approach, Unit 8200 executed a massive cyber attack. Years prior, they had embedded supply chain malware into the Iranian air defense network. At the precise moment of the strike, this dormant code activated, instantly blanking out radar screens across the region. As a secondary electronic warfare measure, the U.S. Navy deployed the EA-18G Growler. This specialized aircraft flooded the Iranian airspace with intense electromagnetic noise, ensuring any surviving radar systems were totally blinded by static. Simultaneously, a localized kinetic attack began on the ground. Thousands of sleeper drones, smuggled into Iran years earlier, were activated. They dive-bombed and physically destroyed the crippled air defense batteries. The Iranian airspace was systematically dismantled from the inside out. In a matter of minutes, the military leadership was left entirely deaf and blind to the incoming threat. At 9:40 a.m. on the day of the strike, Khamenei made a fatal logistical decision. Instead of retreating to the safety of his subterranean bunker, he chose to host the high-level meeting in the upper area of the Pasteur Street compound. With the airspace cleared, a joint strike force of U.S. and Israeli stealth fighter jets, including F-35s, converged on the target zone, carrying specialized payloads. The jets released more than 30 Blue Sparrow missiles. These projectiles briefly exited the Earth's atmosphere to achieve a strict vertical drop, before striking the exact coordinates of the conference room at hypersonic speeds. 12 minutes after the impact, a popular Iranian religious app called Bade Sabah pushed a notification directly to the mobile phones of the public. The message demanded the immediate surrender of the Iranian military. The kinetic strike achieved total eradication. Ayatollah Khamenei and 40 core officials were killed instantly. Only Khamenei's son, Mojtaba, who had briefly left the meeting, survived the blast. The absolute precision of the attack triggered immediate paranoia within the regime. Fearing a high-level mole, Iranian authorities arrested their own Quds Force general, Ismail Qani, who had inexplicably survived similar prior strikes. The regime kept the body in deep freeze and repeatedly delayed the funeral, calculating that a public gathering would provide the Trump administration a secondary high-value target for a follow-up strike. A decade of intelligence gathering and data processing resulted in the removal of the entire Iranian power structure, proving that in the era of total data supremacy, no fortress is impenetrable.